now it's time for our tea time section. Yes, the one Andrea tried this track way, but to depend Jamaica business. Yes, my love. Them can't, them not go with me on this and shut up Auntie Shirley, cause we have to understand what is going on in a Jamaica. Yes, yes. How may I bring today, my love? Yes, yes. The mouthpiece for the PNP, Mr. Dayton, Dr. Dayton Campbell. Come up here, Dayton. Yes, come up to Auntie Shelley, tea time.
Yes, ma'am.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Jesus, how was things?
Things are not bad, We're putting in some work, watching what's going on in the country. And just like you, we have some questions about what's really happening in Jamaica.
So you hear them, I try hear about the lawsuit?
I did, but people will always try to do things to keep people quiet, Those who have issues out there don't want people to press some of those issues. I expect that some of those things will happen. At the same time, we try to be responsible in what we say so that we give everybody a fair chance. But I'm not for censorship of persons. I think persons should be able to speak freely.
Yes, Auntie Shelley need to talk. Yes, yeah, Auntie Shelley really need to talk. The first order of business, very important to me. You bring a present?
I did.
You bring present?
I did.
How the present then?
It's in the vehicle downstairs.
Jesus! I wonder if it's a scam.
I'm sure it will come before we're finished.
Oh, Jesus, because we have to show the people them, say, Auntie Shelley get the things, because them already have mixed me up in a PNP, Yes. So you here send me a PNP?
The funny thing is that you have some persons in the country that whenever things are not going according to how the government would want it to go, they try to attack everybody that speaks out against it as a PNP. Now, you don't have to be a PNP to see that something is going wrong. To be frank, you could be no P at all and see that something is going wrong and speaking up. But you could also be a part of the Labour Party and also not agree with what is going on. So it is not only PNP that will have a problem with something that is not going right? Something that's going wrong.
Because there's no secret that I have always, in my historical voting pattern, been voting Labour, but me been talking strong, and I'm trying to show, because of the crisis that we're in terms of how I think things are being governed, that it's important that people choose Jamaica. And this Clark's thing, this glitz that we all, and when we say all, and me get sucked up in it too. So me, I can say, is Clark's here where?
But from long time. Before
Jesus! You said the orange Clark's put Miss Auntie Shelley foot me now. Yes, Auntie Shelley, very sharp, Yes.
Yeah, but the thing is that, you saw the Clark's thing, Andrew started trying to be like your brother. And what the country really needs is your father. So you don't need somebody who's trying to dress like you, trying to be like you. You need somebody who's more like a parent figure that is trying to take control of the situation, manage it properly, and ensure that you can have a proper future. So the country is not really supposed to be looking for somebody that is just trying to go with, whatever fad is in now and just trying to relate alone. You want somebody that is actually planning out the thing, like your parents would actually plan for your education, plan to ensure that you have proper health care and those sort of things, and that they can give you a start. You don't really want somebody who's just there like your brother that you just go to the party with. That's good and all, but that's not what you want in a leader. That's what I think he was trying to do, is being your brother when you really need your parent.
Yes, I put up Mark. Put up Mark.
Mark is your parent, man. If
yes.
a woman is out there and saying that she's looking for a husband, she would choose somebody that is financially stable. She would choose somebody that is loving, somebody that is caring,
like
somebody that is intellectual.
Yeah.
But financially stable is important because you can't corrupt somebody who already has their own resources. Let me not say you can't. It's harder to, right?
Yes.
Somebody who is there who is trying to grab what they see for them and their friends. They're going to run afoul of the law easier than somebody who's already well taken care of, who's just coming to the thing now to serve. They're not coming there to try and enrich themselves. And you know, it's something in Jamaica that you have some people go into politics and without having any business, any profession, they end up being rich.
Oh no.
Every single one of those persons are a thief in some way, shape, or form. And I cannot be sued for that. Because I'm just saying.
But Brad, somebody you hear it. You heard
Think
it.
about it.
Yes.
So somebody in the politics who they've been in the politics for a long time. They don't have a career outside, so they're not a lawyer, they're not a doctor. There's nothing that they do outside.
Because you're a doctor.
I'm not just saying lawyer and doctors as to say those are the only thing. You could be a communicator
Yes.
and you work with some private enterprise with communication. You could be in human resource and you work elsewhere.
Yes.
But what I'm saying
And like Hugh Graham, put up Hugh Graham and in Lambo. Yes, he has a
So coming with your business, right? So you
And-
know where they're
Yes.
getting their wealth from.
Yes.
But if you have somebody who is just in the politics and that is all they do, and that person is rich, it is very likely that that person is a criminal.
Wanna hear this?
You can think about it.
Think about it, Jamaica.
Whereas the politics doesn't pay you enough for you to be rich just from politics.
Jesus.
It doesn't.
Eh.
The salary of a politician is not that much. Prime Minister's salary is currently about $7 or $8 million.
A year?
Yeah, that you couldn't be rich off that.
7. Me richer than Andrew? Then
I
all
don't know if
you
you're
get up.
richer- I don't know if you're richer than Andrew.
What's the-
I tell you what the government pay Andrew. I don't know if you're richer than him though. That's a
I'm not
different
taking richer
discussion.
than Andrew. Jesus.
That's a different discussion.
Andrew, we want. How much you think? Put up the big house. Want to put up the big house there for me, please? Yes. How much do you think this house costs? People, me team.
Probably about 100 million.
100 million.
200.
They say
200 mil.
200 mil. Any more takers? Andrew house. Yeah. There's some questionable.
But
Allegedly.
you know, the Prime Minister probably has some business, I don't know.
Yes, down at St. Lucia. St. Lucia. Yes, it's a thing. Everybody at go St. Lucia.
I should have drink the tea, but I don't want it burning.
Listen, my tea very hot, you know. Yes, remember this is an entertainment show and nothing is to be taken seriously. Wanna run the allegedly around the screen for me and protect Auntie Shelley, please. Yes. So you think about yes, because you know what I was thinking. When I woke up to this nationwide of me and everybody put up me nationwide lawsuit. I was thinking that nationwide, no sister, the whole of Jamaica burned down. I don't think nationwide had planned that there was going to be the biggest heist in a Jamaica, brawling guns, and nothing to laugh at. Is that the security? And he says, no, we're not talking about the police. We are talking about guards. We're being under siege. About four of them in 24 hours right across the island. And people on Twitter are worried if Auntie Shelley going to have bed for sleep, you know? May I tell you, my love, me never marry poor. So you see me I go knock on him door and when you come for the dirty drawers, me I tell you no. Me I go so knock everyone out uno. You see all the baby fathers left and right. Remember me need help. Yes. But we did that a side note, Dayton. That's a side note because me see that the country is spiraling. What do you think about Andrew going down to 80 right now? Because this is, what do you think about, I understand that Haiti, I used to live there. I used to work there. So I understand the disruptions and of course, everybody understands the crime and the murders and the gang warfare. But what do you think of Andrew living here and making, a plan is he have any, right now, does he have any credibility to be helping Haiti?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that he shouldn't be a part of a team to help with Haiti, because we live in a global space, and you have to be concerned about what is going on in neighboring territories. So there is a need for him to, and for them to have that discussion at the level of CARICOM and to have a plan as to how they assist Haiti. Haiti has been disadvantaged because Haiti had the courage to fight and gain their independence in 1804. I mean, if you look on the land and look at the difference between Haiti and the Dominican Republic, you can see the difference just because of the disadvantage that has come to Haiti because they dared to stand up to the system at a time when it was not fashionable to do so. But at the same time, my grandmother used to always say that you must learn to dance a yard before you dance abroad. And I think that Jamaica is facing a lot of problems that requires the attention of the Prime Minister in that deep way. And I think he has a tendency to do a little superficial approach to some of the things that are going on. And I think he as well has led to the moral degradation of values in the society. And nothing in this life that is worthwhile comes easy. If you ask Usain Bolt, and I'm sure we'll speak about him later, but there were times when he had to get up in the morning when others were sleeping. There were times that he wanted to party and his coach told him, no partying, that's stop alcohol.
I remember when they did drag him out of fiction, the people didn't take him out. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So there are times that he has to sacrifice, work hard in order to be where he is. If somebody is there and they're overweight, it's the same thing. You're going to have to sacrifice diet, exercise for you to be in shape. So nothing that is worthwhile. To become a doctor, you're going to have to do several years of study. And to paint the picture that you could just become prosperous by some snap of the finger or something like that, or that the government had some panacea to do that without actually putting a proper plan in place, is a part of the reason. I'm not saying all of it, but it's a part of the reason. Then they were on this fresh
incompetence
cash.
could have been
Incompetence
the
is
team.
another part of it.
No, the team. I'm not picking an Andrew, but the team.
No,
yes.
yeah. So what you're seeing now, and people probably think it's a movie. People say Jamaica is God's favorite channel, but there are some things that are happening in the society. We actually saw somebody land a plane on a beach in Clarendon, a drug plane. Like, this is not a movie, it's a serious thing. Somebody land a plane on a beach, like a private plane, not a strip, not an airport. It's on a beach. In St. Mary, the largest drug fine that you will ever have at the private airport down there. You're seeing people stealing ATM machines or ABM machines across the country, right? Especially in Westmoreland. You're seeing people taking on with high-powered weapons, armed vehicles that are supposed to be taking cash from business enterprises. And you're seeing just fraud in financial institutions. It's just a total breakdown of the society. I mean, at some point in time, we're going to have to say, look here, what is taking place now cannot continue, and we need to draw a line in the sand and chart a different course going forward. And I think it requires some courageous, intentional leadership that I'm not sure that this Prime Minister is able to offer.
I totally listen. You surprised me by your tone, because you don't seem to be on the attack of the labor. No, you don't seem to be, to me.
I tell you what.
You are giving, let me just give you a little flowers right here. You seem to, and I'm wondering if this is, because I'm not used to this, that while I hear you really giving logical solutions, and you're not really saying him shouldn't be there, but he should be there, but there's things a yard.
Yeah.
So you're giving a balanced perspective that I really appreciate. And why I raise this Haiti thing is because exactly what all the issues you just outlined. Because Jamaicans are sleeping, We are either going through a trauma that there's so many murders and we have become immune to all of these things that we wake up every day trying to, I don't know if we are take drugs, I don't know if somehow we are take pills at night time, to sleep. Yeah. To not have the nightmare to wonder if we are going to be robbed and all of that. It is traumatizing. But when we see things like this and not seeing a plan, I want to say a plan, I think we are honestly, in my opinion of tea time's opinion, we are on the path to a Haiti. We are literally on the path because when you start to see criminals attacking in broad daylight, without fear, without anything, believe me,
It is cause for concern.
it's a serious cause
It is.
for concern. And everybody will rejoice on Twitter about these frivolous lawsuits. I'm telling you, you need to start taking on the things that's going to reach on the doorstep. Crime don't have one plan. No, it's not no plan. Like it did at Maxfield. It might flare up there, but it can reach anybody.
Anywhere at any time. And so, and that's what I'm talking about. So the approach to dealing with crime, for example, it is not as simple as just saying the Prime Minister wants a state of emergency as he's trying to make it appear to be. Because if you were to blow up a balloon and you were to push one ear of it, all that you would do is displace the ear inside to another ear. And that's what we call the balloon effect. So if you put a state of emergency in St. James, all that happens is that the criminals in St. James, they move over to Hanover, they move over to Westmoreland, they move over to
Maypen.
St. Elizabeth.
Mhm.
And then the same Prime Minister
Clarendon.
comes to say that, why some horrendous things taking place in some little place that we never used to hear these
Hear
things
about.
happening. It's because of the
Mandeville.
dislocation of the criminals. No, the government, through the Commissioner of Police, has said that there are about 300 known violence producers that they have on their radar. Mark Golding, the leader of the opposition, put forward a suggestion to say, all right, here is a pre-charge detention piece of legislation that you could use to detain these persons and then, build a case against them. The truth of the matter is that the solution to crime cannot just be a superficial thing like that. It has to be a deeper look at the situation as to what is causing the youngsters to be attracted to it in the first place. How do you get the police not to be in a confrontation with them, right? So you have communities in which you just have police and soldiers in there now, and there's a hostile relationship between them and persons within the community because there's no sort of restorative justice sort of intervention, no peace management initiative, something that can break the cycle of violence. You have persons when they go to prison, they come out as a better criminal than they went in. And then the rate of recidivism, which is the repeat offenders, is high. Because these people go in there, they become a better criminal, they come out into the society, all they do is that they recommit some form of crime and they end up back in there. So there is not a plan in place to really attack the thing and deal with it properly. If you're having a problem, for instance, with your police, how is it that you're reclassifying your public sector and you're having this difficulty where even now the police cannot sign? Wouldn't you have some form of incentive for your police officers if we're losing them in droves because of attrition, people leaving the country for better opportunities? Why not take out the police then as an example, and teachers, nurses? Those three are probably the most that are leaving. Why not take those out and say, all right, for everybody else we're giving them 20%, for these we're going to give them 60% because of the crisis. And I think most people would understand that you need to have a special intervention for certain categories of persons, because if you don't have proper teachers, you see the disaster that we're going to have. If you don't have proper security personnel, you see the disaster that we're going to have. And if you don't have proper healthcare workers, you see the disaster. So it's clear to everybody. So I'm just saying that I don't see the dexterity. I don't see the government thinking outside of the box. I don't see them doing anything. It's just almost like the thing is on autopilot and they're just managing the givens, the things that are in front of them. But I don't see any initiative, nothing coming from the government that they're actually celebrating, thinking about the matter, that they can put forward a practical solution
For the
to
future.
arrest the situation.
To secure even the future.
Yeah.
I mean, every day I pass the US Embassy and it run like dance.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it bigger than Sunfest. Everybody is leaving. I mean, I wonder how America now call me. They have it all long for try to leave, my love. But yeah, that's a different thing. But you know what? You bring some real issues here. And I want to make sure that I can say that we could talk for a long time. But we need to talk about what is happening, or at least we know what is happening, but we have to talk about the local elections.
Okay.
Because from my understanding, the reasons, I mean, why do you think that they're constantly bringing the issues and changing ideas of why a local government cannot be called?
Okay, so the short, I give the short answer and then the long answer. The short answer is that they did not call the local government election because they're not sure they can win it. Plain and simple. This is a political party. The main consideration that they took was whether or not they can win the election. If they were to lose the election, it puts them under pressure for a general election, which is due within the next 2.5 years, or maybe even shorter than that. So they didn't want to take that risk, and therefore they put forward some frivolous reasons as to why they're not calling it. Now, the supporters of the government will say that this has been done before, and that is true. There was a time in the 90s when we went about 7 or 8 years without calling an election, but something changed. In 2015, there was the Local Government Act that amended Section 66 of the Constitution to enshrine local government in the Constitution. And then we had 3 strategic laws. One of them, the Local Governance Act, that amended the Representation of the People Act, which is ROPA, to put a fixed 4-year cycle in place for elections. So it is not sufficient for a supporter or a member of the government to say, but this has happened before. Because that would be like they are saying, in 1970, there was no law for seatbelt, so the government can't charge me now for not wearing a seatbelt. If the law has been changed, then the behavior has to change, right? Because that's the purpose. That's the purpose of law.
Yes.
Is to cause people to live in a well-ordered society. So it's trying to change and regulate behavior. That's why you put laws in place in a society. So having gone through that change,
look good.
at all times.
Yeah, look
Why am I
at me.
looking at you?
Yes, because I wonder if
Because I don't want to be distracted.
yes. Come here, fight with your eyes then over your son.
I was trying to look more towards the camera.
The camera, they won't pick you up, man. They won't pick you up. We have camera album.
That's a problem.
Out of the sky.
Out of the sky.
Yes. Dayton, yes.
Yes.
Go talk to me, cousin.
Yeah, so let me explain it, right? That change was made. And so we expected that going forward, we wouldn't have dealt with local government the same way that we used to deal with in the past. That you would just manipulate the calling of the election to give yourself a political advantage. The reasons given by the government, one, they said because they're trying to make Portmore into a parish. Now that really doesn't hold at all, because Portmore becoming a parish is going to require that you're going to have to cut some pieces of constituencies that are not currently in Portmore. For example, Eastern St. Catherine, that is represented by Denise Daly. A part of that will have to be cut to put onto what is Portmore now to become the parish of Portmore. Now, to trigger those cuts of a constituency, those cuts are triggered at the time of a general election. And that's for good reason. I couldn't get up and vote in my constituency for Shelley to be my MP. And somewhere in the middle of the term, the government passed a law to make Dayton my MP. That's not allowed, right? What changes my MPs when an election is called, whether the person is returned or somebody else is voted in, but you can't just use a law to change who represents me in the middle of the term, right? And so the boundaries for Portmore will have to be triggered at a general election.
So
right?
that is 2.5.
Right. So it has nothing to do with local elections, is the point. So that argument that they're giving, it doesn't hold. The second argument that it is based on resources. No, the same government, through their Minister of Finance, said that they collected last year 99 billion above what they budgeted for. So if the government said that we were going to collect 400 billion in taxes, they collected 499. So even the argument that no new taxes, well, you may not have put a new tax there, but you certainly collect more taxes from the people.
Yes, from the taxi man them, yes, and
right?
the drivers.
And this year that is coming to an end, this month, they're projecting to collect 80 billion more than what they projected. So if you put the two together, that's 179 billion more in the last 2 years. To keep the local government election is 1.7 billion, which is 1% of the surplus. Of the surplus of the extra money that you get. It's just 1% of that.
Yes.
That is required to keep the election. Now, the government should already be budgeting for an election, because a government in a democratic society has a responsibility to budget for elections in good or bad times. You can't just look at it and say, well, we have a crisis, so we can't. Because the crisis may be the reason that the people want to vote in a different set of persons. Because it might be your doing that led to the crisis.
Exactly.
So you have to be able to give the people the option in a democratic society to be able to choose who leads them. And the third thing about international space and the whole thing being the uncertainty. The government has no control over that. If Russia decides tomorrow that they're going to invade another country, what does Jamaica have to do with that? Absolutely nothing. It's not something that we control. And there are other countries in the Caribbean and elsewhere in the world that have conducted their elections, and they are growing at a faster pace than Jamaica. So it's obvious that calling the election is not antagonistic to growth. As a matter of fact, calling the election might actually stimulate growth, but especially when the people are campaign and try to buy vote left, right, and center, and buy out the bar and all.
Yes, and buy red wig and orange wig and green wig. Yes.
So it actually causes commerce to thrive.
Yes.
So it's not going to affect the economy in a negative way, right? So the reasons are just not plausible, and the honest truth is that they didn't call the election because they're not sure that they can win it. There are 16 parish council divisions currently without a representative for 3 reasons. Some of the councillors became members of parliament, some of the councillors have resigned, and some of them have died.
Yes.
So in terms of who became MP, the councillor for Retreat in Western St. Mary, Crystal Lee, is now the MP for North West St. Anne. Hugh Graham was the councillor for Lower Islands Vale in North West St. Catherine, he's now the MP for North West St. Catherine. Homer Davis, councillor for Cambridge in South St. James, he's now the member of parliament there. And you have George Wright, who's councillor for Petersfield Division in Central Westmoreland, he's now the MP. Kenisha in Spanish Town resigned. She's JP councillor, she resigned and migrated to Canada. You've had deaths in Trinityville in Western St.
A lot of deaths.
You've had 2 deaths in Eastern Portland, Fellowship Ferry. Up to yesterday, unfortunately, and I use this moment to send condolences to his family, the death of our council from the Islington Division in Central St. Mary. And you've had resignation. Lincoln Dixon. He was also the regional. Yes, he was also the regional chairman for Region 2.
Rest in peace. Indeed. Condolences to the comrade community.
Yes.
And I really want to touch on this. I don't know if my producer going to tell me I'm out of time. But I really am wondering what is happening, because there have been so many deaths in government overall.
Like the work stressing.
It's like the work, I don't know what it is, but it seems abnormal to me that it seems like even planning.
It's not normal. The rate of death, just the vacancies. I know, so there are persons in the society that say, that's why the PNP don't call on them to have a by-election in these divisions. The reason we can't do that is because the law says if there's a general local government election, meaning the national local election, right, as opposed to a general election, the general local government election. If that is due within a year, then you can't call a by-election. Now, every time that they postpone the election, they postpone it for 1 year. So it prohibits you from actually calling a by-election. And so you have 16 divisions, and average you have about 10,000 people living in a division. Not necessarily that they're going to vote, but they reside in the division.
Yes, but they need.
So that's 160,000 people.
160,000 people that might have water issues, road issues.
Issues with garbage collection. You know, any one of those things that the parish council deals with, the cleaning of the drains, the bushing of the verges, and those other issues that you would expect that the first point of contact, the local representative, would be able to come and deal with street lights and those other things. Those things are currently not getting any attention, because what happens when there is a missing council for whatever reason is that the mayor for the parish is the one that runs the division. Now that mayor, in the case of Portmore, we have a directly elected mayor, that mayor would have campaigned in the entire Portmore and would have been elected by the people. Everywhere else, the mayor is somebody that from the side that has won the most division, that they recommend somebody to be mayor. So if I'm mayor in St. Mary or St. Thomas, I probably never went into another division that I'm the person now representing, because I had no need to go there, right? Yes. So I was campaigning in my division, and because my side won majority of the seats, they nominated me as the mayor. And somebody dies in a division way up somewhere in the parish. He's now responsible to run that division and to do all of those things that we just said. It's not possible for him to do it. And in some instances, you have about 3 or 4 councillors being missing in a parish So the mayor is running his division in the parish plus another 3 or 4 divisions.
Andrew, this can't work. For representational, this cannot work for the people. Call the election and face the people. The people want justice, the people want to talk to you, the people want a choice. Yes, we need to move on. We want to know, is Mark leadership ready to take on the JLP at the polls?
You know, Mark Golding is probably the brightest person in the country. It is possible that he's the brightest person in the country. And I'm telling you that just based on his intellectual capacity, and persons who watch the parliament not for the hype but for the substance, they will see it. He interrogates a bill several times. They've had to go back to return with the bill because of his input into that bill. We have the issue with the taxi, with the road traffic act, that the government was requiring that public transport would have to have car seats. That took place on like the Thursday. By the Tuesday, there's a private member's bill that was drafted by Mark Golding in the parliament that the government voted against, by the way, and said they were going to bring regulations, and they have not brought those regulations now 3 weeks later. But he was able, in a matter of 4 days, to draft a bill that would rescind that, repeal that part of the law, would ensure that those who would have been charged before, that would be removed from their record, and the points that they would have lost from their license, those would be restored. When we had the issue of the alleged beating of a woman by a stool with a figure that appeared to be the member from Central Westmoreland.
But in the police never did step on the record said.
Yeah, but we can't take the lawsuit, so we just have to check.
Alleged. And you said that you can't take the lawsuit. Alleged.
But that's what I said that way, you know?
Yes.
But Mark Golding went to the parliament again with impeachment legislation, right? And Jamaica needs to be reminded that this is the person who, as Minister of Justice, passed the most laws. This is the same person who decriminalized marijuana. And look at this now. We're in a country that is the capital of good ganja, right?
Not Jesus.
The world know about the Jamaican ganja. And now we're in this country that we're now importing marijuana.
No. But this is a whole topic. This is a whole topic.
This I want people to stop for a second and think about it. You have your, like my own man, that them lock up because of marijuana. And now you live in our country to see it come around that the government is allowing people to import the same thing that they used to lock up your people for not long ago. Is that a one in Jamaica? So I'm just saying, when you look at it, if we're talking about, as I started out, if you want somebody to manage the affairs of the country, who is competent, who has clean hand, clean hearts, not looking to scrape anything, who is just looking to serve, who has the intellectual capacity to do so. I'm saying that we've gotten to a point now in Jamaica where we used to have people that were arrested. They got a criminal record for having marijuana, ganja, in their possession. It was Mark Golding, as Minister of Justice, who moved forward to say that let us decriminalize this. And what has happened since is that you have had some youth who weren't able to go on farm work, for example, who can now go because their record has been expunged. It's just a fancy way of saying that it has been removed from their record. Others are no longer in conflict with the law. The police can just grab a youth by the collar and throw him in jail. And we've come full circle now to see where this current government is now importing marijuana. When I think if you go anywhere in the world and people are having a discussion about ganja, Jamaica would come up as probably the capital of good ganja, sensimina, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm saying that I think that this government has passed its shelf life. You know, it is time for us to renew and have a different government in place. It was the same Mark Golding, who, as I said, suggested the pre-charge detention as to how we can deal with the crime to target the 300 people as opposed to have a SOE that is taking away the rights of everybody. It's the same Mark Golding that used his own personal money to bring home the students that were in Ukraine. And so, really and truly, I think that at this point in time in the history of this country, that Mark Golding is the appropriate leader because somebody who has the intellectual capacity, is somebody who is not looking to enrich himself, is somebody that is coming to serve with clean hands and a clean heart, and I believe that Jamaica will benefit from him being leader. And to be frank, he has drawn from the strong points of all the previous leaders of the PNP. He has the intellectual capacity of a Norman Manley. He has the love of the people and the care and that transformative view of the society like a Michael Manley. He has, again, the astuteness of a PJ Patterson. You know, and people probably want to see him a little bit louder, but he's like a PJ, more cool and calm and collected. He has the love of the average person, like a Portia. That's why he's down representing in jungle, right? He has that
big up jungle,
all the time,
yes.
all the time. He has that
Big up the
technical
jungle,
competence like a Dr. Peter Phillips as to actually run the country.
Yes.
So I think we actually have the ideal person to come forward to lead this country. Leadership award, then I don't think we can get a better leader at this point in time. And I'll just say that if something was wrong with me and I went to the hospital, I would ask for the most competent doctor to look at me.
That
I
is
would
true.
ask for the one that wear this and wear that.
Yes.
And try that. You'll be the one that can get the job done.
Yes, but I want you to leave with a message. Can't have this message go on, you know. What you want to tell to the GLP government?
Pack your bags and go.
Pack your bags! Time come, love!
Time come.
Yes. Time come. Put up them time come. I like it. So whoever come up with that time come these days. Yes. Pack up on the bags. So they hear it from Dayton. Yes. Well, this was Sunday tea, cause you know, good girl have to take her medication, we never did alright, yes. But Dayton, what you want to tell? What you think about tea time? And just tell them good afternoon, because it's the first time we are go on a Sunday.
Well, just before I tell them about tea time, I just want to tell people to actually take good care of their mental health. As in, check on your friends and things. Because, coming out of COVID, medically speaking now, we've seen a significant increase in medical illnesses and complaints. For instance, if you look at anxiety, the number of persons that's working in the hospital, number of persons coming in with anxiety and those things has gone up significantly. So I'm just encouraging persons out there, check on your friends, even the ones that are normally the strong ones, just call them every now and then, check in with them and make sure they're cool.
No, Jesus.
Now, in relation...
No, we have forgot to talk about it.
Yeah.
Did you know, say I'm a diagnosed mad woman? No, make me legit right. But I use this platform because I want to be the person who talk about it, that it is not stigmatized, because men often hide. Women, we tend to more at least ask for help. And then the men, all you see that is that them jump off of one cliff.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm glad, because every show I have done, and I don't know if you watch all the tea time, I have touched it with my own experiences with mental illness here, with little bipolar. Hear that? Cross curry, you're bipolar. You be like a bipolar, with depression. It's a lot of things.
Yes.
Anxiety, the losing, and then you have life that brings on other things and COVID. So I'm glad as a medical doctor, we're here reminding people, take care of your mental health. You know, my love? And when you think of people picking on people with mental issues?
Well, that definitely, it's no fault of the individual in some instances, because you can have some cases of mental illness that comes on from substance abuse. But in a lot of cases, it's no fault of the individual that they have the mental illness. So picking on them doesn't make any sense. And it is higher in the population than we think. It's somewhere between 1 in every 5 to 1 in every 3 Jamaican that you see walking around that has some form of mental illness. The trick is that people think that mental illness is the man that is eating out of the garbage man. They don't realize that having the anxiety and having the depression and those things are also seen as mental illnesses as well. And so, I don't think there is a family in Jamaica that's unaffected.
Yes.
I think all of us would have to deal with it at some point in time, and we must learn how to deal with and how to treat with those persons.
Yes.
To still maintain their dignity, and at the same time to ensure that we offer help and we don't do anything to hurt them. In terms of your show, I want to
thank you.
I want to encourage you to continue to be a voice.
Yes, thank you.
You don't have to be in politics to offer leadership. You don't have to be in politics to be able to transform the society. You can do so by using your platform and speaking to things, encouraging persons. It could be from just somebody watching your show that might keep them alive, causing them not to do something to harm themselves, just to encourage them. And so I encourage you to continue to use your platform to advocate for change so that we can have a better society than the one that we inherited.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So me is not an undercover PNP that you know of.
If you're undercover PNP, I'm happy. But if you're not, if you're not, you're still a Jamaican, and you still have the interests of Jamaica at heart, and so we still have room for you at the table.
Room for Auntie you hear that? Them have room for me. Yes, move over, JLP. You don't never give Auntie Shelly nothing. Yes, them not mean like Uno. Yes, and Matt Goldin, we want you on tea time, my love. And Auntie Shelly have vote for you.
So I brought that little bag here for you.
I don't like things little, you know.
Well, I'm not associated with things little, but for this.
It's a Sunday. Okay, it's a day. You're lucky say a Sunday daytime. I would have asked you.
In the church song. In the church song.
Jesus.
Father-in-law will know all about it.
Jesus.
So, it's a cap for you.
It's a cap. Jesus.
I have in it a shirt for you as well.
Jesus.
I want you to wear these when you're going to look for Mr. Homeless.
But me want this. He no wants to be my love. I'm afraid of him right now.
Yes.
Wait,
Jesus. Look at it. Look at the shirt.
Where that coat to?
A courthouse never wear this. Power to the people, my love. Yes. Oh my God. What not mean? JLP. You see this? Auntie Shelly get some goodies. Yes. All right. Well, thank you for coming and thank you for informing Jamaica what is going on. I really think you brought a good light to what is happening. And I want to tell the leader, keep up the good work. We see what is happening. It's not an easy road out there. And there have a lot of people that are rooting for him. People say, "Me switch." Me the business when I say, time really come for a change. And that me I say. And I told you already, me not prepare for a Jamaica turn 82.0 business. Me not on that, right? So as a Jamaican, I'm saying thank you for coming. JLP don't want to come. Me invite you no don't want to come. But it is not a PNP show. It is a show for Jamaicans. You are still welcome to come. And I'm looking forward. Please whisper in a Mark Bodie, yes, and tell him say, for come and see Auntie Shelly.
I'll tell him, because every time that he comes in one of these settings and he sits down and speaks, and persons see what I have been talking about. They see the length and depth of his knowledge and that he's a cool individual, you know?
Yes, yes.
So I'll encourage him to come.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, tea time, that is it with Dayton Campbell. And we will see you next week. Bye, my loves. Yes, the play on the Atino. You know that?
Why you always a worry about Shelly Curran tea time? That me I say. Go fret about your dirty problem them. Right. The hot tea. Like every day you want to listen Shelly Curran every day, yeah.